Ever since it exploded into theaters in 1987, sci-fi and non-sci-fi fans alike have been obsessed with the alien baddie we know as the Predator. This 2018 update has a ton going for it, but after seeing the movie, fans were left with a couple of questions. We hope you enjoyed this list, and don't forget to hit that red subscribe button to stay up to date with the latest and greatest from ScreenRant. Invisibility. We've mentioned before that the Predator has an amazing and infamous ability to camouflage to its surroundings and also to shield itself with the powers of invisibility. But the thing about invisibility is, it works best if it actually makes you, invisible. For as technically advanced and powerful a species as the Predator is, their invisibility is really pretty underwhelming. It's more of the ability to resemble a light fog, and pretty much every person in every movie has been able to spot them lurking around in the shadows. And not by wearing infrared glasses or anything like that. Pretty much just by gazing in the Predator's general direction. Now don't get us wrong, anyone who has mastered the ability to appear even kind of invisible or camouflage effectively is still very impressive. It just seems like a really important and pivotal part of their defense system, and could seriously use an upgrade. Even Harry Potter's Cloak of Invisibility did a more thorough job of hiding its wearer. Though we will concede that magic and technology are two totally different things. One of the major plot points of this 2018 Predator update is that they have learned how to upgrade their bodies to become ultimate predators. So wouldn't it make sense that they throw a little bit more time into really making themselves disappear? And a species that is so much more technologically advanced than ours could also probably figure out ways to avoid detection by human infrared or heat-seeking tech. They managed interstellar travel and massive bodily upgrades after all. We believe in you, terrifying predators. You just have to believe in yourselves. The ship's power. With a movie about this type of alien encounter, it's always best to not question the logic so much as just sit back and enjoy the ride. It's supposed to be fun after all. They're more about living out our most impossible scenarios than examining the hard science behind them. But we are a curious people, and we like even our most fantastical science fiction to be somewhat based in reality. And sometimes, we can't help but wonder about some of the more technical moments that make us go, what? Like with the Predator's gauntlet and the power it appears to have to control the ultimate Predator's entire spaceship. It gets established that what the aliens are both desperate to get their hands on is the remote control within the gauntlet that controls the pod from the ultimate Predator's ship. So we know that it does this job, but then the son of Quinn McKenna somehow uses it to control the entire spaceship. Of course, we don't know how their alien technology works, and it's possible this type of technology just works for Predator stuff across the board, like an extremely powerful universal remote. But it seems like a bit of an easy way to explain away a couple of plot holes, rather than investing time in nailing down the specifics of the science. While we're sure that these kind of decisions are made to keep the pace of the movie rolling right along, it's little details like this that sometimes just don't make any sense. Communication failure. We also learn early on that the Predator who comes to town might not actually be the big bad guy we think he is. In a bit of a shocking twist, we come to understand that this guy is actually trying to save the human race from another even more predatorial predator, the mutated and upgraded Ultimate Predator. These new versions are totally huge, over 10 feet tall and about as wide, with an even more impenetrable exterior and some serious muscle. No wonder the original Predator thinks the human race needs extra protection from these big guys. If we came up against even one in a fight, there is no question how it would go down. Now, it's entirely possible that if he hadn't been immediately caught and subsequently tortured and tested by Project Stargazer, and no, we don't mean the coolest astronomy club in your high school, that things might have turned out a little differently. But when it wakes up, this supposed good guy goes full frontal assault on anybody it can lay its claws on. It starts throwing everybody around, slicing them in half, and swinging its dangly hair all over the place. If it had wanted to protect the humans, why would it go berserk and not instead try to find some way of communicating with them? Its rage at being experimented on is totally justified, but it does seem a little counterproductive to destroy as many members of a species you're trying to save as you possibly can. It's also very understandable that it would just be trying to get away from the people who have been torturing it, but still, there's got to be a better way. Where are we? As is the same story with most big-budget Hollywood movies these days, The Predator was subject to a pretty big series of reshoots and re-edits, which can be a bit dangerous. You never know if some beloved scenes and important information is going to end up on the cutting room floor, or if your actors are going to be available to come back and shoot. Some little things are bound to slip through the cracks, like the location of the third act. For the whole beginning of the movie, it's totally clear where we are. First in Mexico with Quinn and the rest of his infantry for the initial Predator pod crash, then in the United States where the creature is taken to be investigated and experimented on in the lab. And not only that, we know that we're in Tennessee and Georgia specifically. All of that is great. But after that, we get a little bit lost. There's a map drawn to where the Predator's ship landed, but it doesn't actually give any specifics about where. Then we get started off with the ultimate predator in Florida, or so it seems. After some serious roughhousing, it takes off into a forest, where it's pursued by the army. There are also mountains involved, and all of this could let us guess approximately where they are, but never really pin our heroes down. The Lost Gauntlet. So, the Predator begins by letting us in on the first time that its leading man, Quinn McKenna, met the Predator itself. We see the young Quinn on a sniper mission in Mexico, where he is rudely interrupted by Predator's pod crashing into Earth right nearby. Before this, we see the Predator escaping its damaged ship in a pod, and attaching a mysterious gauntlet to its arm in the process. Immediately, we have to wonder, what is this gauntlet? Could it be a weapon? A mode of communication with the Predator's home planet? Or something even more sinister? We doubt that the filmmakers would have included this shot if it wasn't meant to mean something important, or let us know that this gauntlet will come into play later in the movie. But right after it's crashed into Mexico, Quinn finds both the gauntlet and the Predator's mask laying right next to each other, with the actual creature nowhere to be seen. The question is, how did the Predator lose the gauntlet that it had just secured to its arm a couple of moments ago? And how did it end up lying so neatly next to its mask in all the wreckage? It also doesn't really seem all that concerned about its weaponry either, as we find the alien hiding up in a tree doing his very cool camouflage thing while having a go at one of the other soldiers. Those just seem like a couple of items that you really wouldn't want to leave behind for just anyone to stumble across. Predator dogs. One thrilling new addition to the Predator family that had fans excited were the totally redesigned Predator dogs, who were first seen in the movie Predators. But based on the trailer, these guys looked bigger, meaner, and even less like a nice puppy we'd want to pet than their predecessors. Designed to resemble the Predator enough so that it would be easy for fans to connect them to the same world, these Hellhounds are fierce and mean, and stronger than any pit bull, and you'd imagine that these particular alien dogs might be almost impossible to kill. But then you'd be in for a surprise. Sure, they get blown up and that seems to do the trick, but it actually seems a little too easy to take these guys down. Trevante Rhodes may have been able to hypnotize audiences in 2016's Moonlight, but when he takes down a Predator dog and it simply becomes obedient to him, it's just a little too far-fetched to believe. Plus, who would even want one of these guys hanging around? Even if the Hellhounds had been somewhat tamed, who's to say they wouldn't strike again at a moment's notice? Finally, why would the Predators have developed dogs in the first place? Do they have canines just like ours on their planet? Because their Hellhounds seriously resemble some very familiar and Earth-based animals. Whatever they are, these furious creatures are a force to be reckoned with, and the fact that they remind us of the family dog is even more chilling. The Loonies and Quinn. Once Quinn has survived the crash in Mexico, he's taken to a private facility in Tennessee and interrogated by Will Traeger, played by Sterling K. Brown. After this, he's dumped onto a bus with a bunch of guys called the Loonies. These men include Trevante Rhodes, Keegan Michael-Key, and Thomas Jane. This group are known as the Loonies because they're all veterans of war who are considered too unstable to deploy with everyone else. They have all been driven insane by their experiences in the military, though some already were a little unbalanced to begin with. Whatever their reasons, we know early on that Quinn has all sorts of valuable information regarding his experiences with the Predator that the government really doesn't want released. So why then do they throw him in with this motley crew? Chances are he's gonna tell them some seriously classified stuff, and he does so almost immediately. Wouldn't it make more sense to transport him by himself in a heavily armored and protected truck where he can't divulge sensitive and classified government information to a large group of admittedly unstable men? It really does make you wonder how well things are being run down there in the secret alien division of the United States government. But seriously, if we were in any trouble, we would definitely want the Looney Squad on our side in the end. Casey's skills. Ever since Ripley came along in Ridley Scott's Alien, one of the most common and most amazing character types in these kinds of action movies are the female scientists who also somehow know karate. We don't know if you've ever met a biologist in real life, but generally, military weapons and martial arts training are not part of the university curriculum. While we're sure there are some scientists out there who are a force to be reckoned with, it is quite a stretch of the imagination to think that all scientists would basically become superheroes in the face of extreme extraterrestrial violence. Casey proves herself to be an extremely gifted biologist, which is enough in itself. But as soon as the alien goop starts to hit the fan, she transforms into almost an entirely different person and seriously packs a punch. It's cool to believe that in her backstory lies years of specialized weapons training and Kill Bill-style fighting prowess, but none of that is mentioned in the movie, so we're left to wonder. It's even mentioned that she is decidedly not in the military. We really just want to know where she learned to shoot like that. There you have them. A couple of questions about the Predator that we just don't have the answers to. What did you think about these questions? Can you help us figure them them out? Let us know down below. And remember to hit subscribe and ring the bell to keep up with all of our awesome new stuff. Thanks for watching!